Alright, another contest video. What's up? This is Seeking a Thread channel. How you doing? Just getting into this VC thing here. Building a reputation, and I have a wide variety of records that I love and listen to, and that's why I'm sort of into these vinyl contests, subscriber contest videos, just because it gives me an opportunity to show them. So, noted and archived, enjoy your channel. You definitely have a good wide variety. You forced me to sort of bring out my tortoise records that I have in some of your recent videos, and yeah, thanks for offering up the gift card. And all right, I'm going to go through your questions, sort of like a mini vinyl tag here. And so what do we have? Show an unexpected record you discovered, either a blind buy or something you had zero previous knowledge of. I'll show this one. This is the Orchestra Kanaga di Mopti. This is a reissue by Kindred Spirits, and this is sort of, I think, one of the first records that got me into African music and high life and Afro funk and psychedelic rock in Africa, Zamrock. This kind of all, I think this is really the one that got me, and it's this cover. I mean, look at this cover. This is insane, amazing, and this is something else. It's wow, it's got a sort of groove to it. The instrumentation is just insane and sort of takes you into all these different places. This is a Malian record, so it's got the French background to it, and this is, like I said, it's a 2011 reissue. This is an original, super crazy rare record, and I picked this up in Brooklyn at a store called Permanent Records, and this is sort of, yeah, like I said, the thing that got me moving on African music. It's hard to describe this one. I'm not really doing any needle drops or any sound clips on this video. I'm trying to do these, just sort of get these out. But check this out. Orchestra Kanaga di Mopti. I've ended up getting a bunch more records like this from Mali and West African records, and then got heavy into the Soundwave compilations, Analog Africa, just buying African records in general, and this one sort of kicked it all off. It's definitely a psychedelia spirit to this, and unlike anything else. There's a few different orchestra records that you can find from Mali, but this is my favorite. I'll just show the label real quick. Kindred Spirits does. I don't know if they're still doing records, but I have a bunch of reissues by them, and they're all really good. African. Alright, second question is, show two albums with the greatest polarity. I kind of was thinking about going like geographically speaking, but I ended up just doing, sort of sticking to the formula, or the format. I'm a big collector of original Staple Singers records. I've been going after them as often as I can on the VJ or Riverside, usually imprint. And this is Swing Low Sweet Chariot on VJ. And these records are super tough to get. However, if you wait, manageable reasonable priced versions come up, necessarily in the VG or lower condition. And this one is probably VG. However, it plays great. The way they were pressing records in the early to mid 60s, it could look horrible, and it sounds amazing. And this doesn't look horrible. This actually probably plays VG Plus or better. But part of the reason I wanted to collect these is just these sleeves. I mean, they're just amazing. This just makes me feel good looking at it. I just feel great. So what is that? What's my counter to that? We'll go with John Gibson's Visitations. And this is an experimental minimalist record out of New York. Chatham Square Productions, 1973. Wow, I didn't know this was that early. I grabbed this for a bargain in Philadelphia at that record store with the Mutations in it. I forget, Psychotic Mutation, I forget the name of it. And it was marked down, or it was just cheaper than what usually goes for, because there's like a pressing flaw, not a flaw, but there's like a haze to it, but it plays fine, and I went for it. And it's a really interesting experimental minimal LP. I think there is a reissue of this album. John Gibson, I believe, yes, I think he did just pass away. I'm sort of doing this off the cuff here, so I don't know, I apologize. But a big time collaborator, I believe, with Philip Glass and Reich. I could be a little off on that, but this is a strange and experimental record. Second side is sort of where it really picks up steam for me. I believe it's just 2 pieces, but Stable Singers and John Gibson, Polarity. All right, so show an album you might be embarrassed to own, but you don't care. I think you also said, Michael, that it could be something that has like an outlier, has like nothing to do with the rest of your collection. And this is sort of more that. I'm not embarrassed by this at all, but people might be like, well, what do you like? Weird prog, or like, Porcupine Tree and stuff? Not that I'm dissing those bands, but it's just not something that's my thing. And this is the only album I have by Mew, and it's called In the Glass-Handed Kites. This came out in 2006. This is the music on vinyl reissue. Whoa, number 25. That's low. I only just got this, but I know this album so well. Some friends of mine at my old place of work, we got super into this album. I hadn't heard of them then. These guys are Danish. We went to see him, and this album was one of my favorites of the year. I listened to it all the time, and it sort of I don't really have a lot of records like this, sort of modern produced sort of art rock. It's synthy. It's got like a definite pop vibe to it. It's super catchy. Jay Mascis somehow turns up on this album singing background vocals. Super beautiful, catchy songs though. They're like anthemic, and there's like a Rush quality to it. Another thing I'm not really a Rush guy. So this doesn't really make sense that I would have it, but I know this album so well. I've had the CD since it came out in 2005, and I only just got this about a month ago. So I'm not embarrassed by this record, but people who might be really big on this band or bands like this probably have a whole different set of stuff they like that doesn't necessarily mesh with what I have. So that's where I'm coming from on this. All right, share your most listened to album in your collection and or your most recent. So I have the 2. I'm going to pick my most listened to. I think that's pretty arbitrary. I could pick a few things, and then one that over the last couple of years has been a go-to. So I thought I could pick any record by the Kinks, but I'll go with Face to Face as the most listened to record of all time. This is the original and Reprise mono. And it's funny, I didn't get into the Kinks until maybe 20 years ago when I was in my early 20s. The old Steamboat. Right around the year 2000 when CD burns were starting to become a thing, and was it it was a mixtape. Sorry, it was a mixtape. It was still when mixtapes were happening. I had my old Maxell, and I had a mixtape of this album, Face to Face. It wasn't the other one. It wasn't any of the other big ones. And I have everything up through like Preservation Act 2. And for some reason, the order was different. And the first song was Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home, not Party Line. And the first time I got this record, I was like ready to hear Rosie, won't you please? And I was like, Party Line, what? Anyway, sort of threw me off. But this one just has so many great songs on. I mean, the Kinks in this period is just untouchable. And I'll go to bat for any of the records at this point. I always switch like for my favorite record. Lola vs. the Power Man that could have easily been my most listened to record. But anyway, Kinks Face to Face, incredible sounding record, incredible band, all-time band. That's what all there is to say about the Kinks. And then a more recent record I've been listening to a whole ton, and this sort of different thing. This is the Bitter Beer Band live in Frankfurt, set 82 with Don Cherry. This is a cross section of a whole lot of stuff. I keep it in my jazz section, but it's really sort of a pan, like they were calling it like a pan America's. It's sort of a pan global record. It really is. It's you have, I think this was recorded in Frankfurt, but you have Norwegian players on this. You have Africa represented, and it's a sound that is sort of like a melting pot of a lot of different sounds. Very groovy, very, very strange, a jazz sensibility to it, but also a classical sort of approach as well. It's a beautiful pressing. It sounds amazing. I think you can still get this, by the way. The label is Black Sweat Records. Don Cherry. And K. Sridhar, I think, is the what is he playing on this? The Sarad. You have all sorts of stuff. Don Cherry is playing pocket trumpet mainly. saxophones, trumpets, violin, cello, bass, percussion, saxophones, bass clarinet, saxophones, percussion. And then you have a co-guil, basically a low barofour funeral xylophone. So, okay, yeah, I don't know a ton about this record. I mean, my main draw to it initially was hearing that it was interesting in Don Cherry, but this really could appeal to a lot of different people. And it's a very fun, groovy record. And I think it's not like something that's been a reissue. I think it came out, I don't really know. I think it came out initially as a CD, and this, I think, is the first vinyl pressing, or there's a difference in the pressings. I'll sort that out later, but that's the Bitter Funeral Beer Band. And what got me into the VC was, let's see, yeah, the fifth question. What was the first VC video or channel you saw your most recent subscriber, or the most recent person you subbed? Derek Higgins, Dereckvon. I started watching him, a long time ago, 7 years ago, and I sort of went back and forth with him and like the Big Star 1000. And yeah, I sort of stopped watching for a while, and then I kind of came back recently, and then, yeah, I'd watch bits and pieces of random videos over the years, but it would always be Derek Higgins when I would come back. But I was sort of not watching videos, and definitely not making them until recently, until the pandemic hit, and I started watching Derek every day, and he's been making videos every day. And he really is someone I like hearing from every day, and he has a very, he's outspoken, which I like, and he's also very calming and sort of very assuring, and he's got a good way about him, and I always like seeing him smile and drink his coffee. So that's what got me into it, and I think I just decided recently it's time for me to start talking about records on YouTube. So thank you, Michael, for offering up the gift card, and check out this channel if this all sounded good to you. I've been making a bunch of videos, some ones I'm really pretty happy with, and I got a couple of really good concepts for videos, and that's about it. Thanks again. This has been Seeking a Thread. See ya.